The gunshot cracked through the air like thunder, and Amara's hands froze mid-scrub on the grimy bathroom tiles. Blood, fresh blood pooling under the door. Her heart slammed against her ribs as she stumbled backward, the bleach-soaked rag dropping from her trembling fingers. 3 years of cleaning Seoul's filthiest nightclubs had taught her one unshakable rule. When you hear gunshots, you run. You don't look, you don't ask questions, you survive. But then the door exploded inward. A man crashed through, his expensive black suit soaked in crimson, his face twisted in agony. He collapsed against the sink, gripping his side where blood poured between his fingers like a broken faucet. Their eyes met. His were dark, cold, calculating even in pain. Amara recognized him instantly. Everyone in Seoul's underground knew that face, Kang Min-Jun. The White Tiger. The man they whispered about in hushed, terrified voices. The heir to the Baekho syndicate who'd allegedly killed his first man at 17. "Help me," he rasped, his voice like gravel scraping concrete. "Or we both die in the next 60 seconds. Amara's nursing textbooks flashed through her mind. The ones she'd abandoned 3 years ago when her father died and left her family drowning in debt. She'd been 2 semesters away from becoming a registered nurse in Accra. Now she was scrubbing toilets at 3 in the morning in a foreign country, sending everyone back home to keep her mother and younger brother alive. Footsteps pounded down the hallway. Men shouting in rapid Korean. "Find him! Check every room!" Min-Jun's hand shot out, grabbing her wrist with shocking strength for someone bleeding out. "Choose now, girl! Save me, or they'll kill you just for being here." Her hands moved before her brain caught up. She yanked him away from the door, shoving him into the supply closet. Her fingers found the bullet wound, high on his left side, just below the ribs, through and through. Good. No bullet to extract. She grabbed clean towels from the shelf, pressing them hard against the entry and exit wounds. He grunted, teeth clenched, but didn't scream. Pressure. "Don't let go," she whispered, her Ghanaian accent thickening with fear. She tore open a bottle of antiseptic, pouring it over her hands, then over the wounds. He hissed, but his eyes never left her face. The bathroom door slammed open. 2 men in dark suits stormed in, guns drawn. Amara's entire body went rigid. This was it. This was how she died. Murdered in a nightclub bathroom at 26, her body probably dumped in the Han River, like the stories whispered among the immigrant workers. But Min-Jun's voice cut through the chaos, cold and authoritative, despite his condition. "Out, now." The men hesitated, confusion flickering across their faces. "Boss, we heard," I said out. Min-Jun's hand moved to his jacket, and even wounded, the threat in his movement made the men retreat. The door clicked shut. Amara's hands shook violently as she tied the towels tight around his torso. "You need a hospital. Real doctors. You've lost too much blood." "No hospitals." His jaw was set, stubborn. "Hospitals mean questions. Questions mean police. Police mean I'm dead before sunrise." He studied her face with unnerving intensity. "You're not Korean." "African?" "Ghanaian," she whispered, still pressing the makeshift bandage. "I'm just a maid. I don't know anything. Please, I won't tell anyone." "I know." His lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "That's exactly why you're perfect." "Perfect?" "Perfect for what?" Amara's mind raced. Nothing about this situation was perfect. Nothing about this man was safe. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to disappear into Seoul's sprawling immigrant communities where people like her became invisible. But then he said the words that changed everything. "Your brother, Kofi Williams, 19 years old, owes 50 million won to the Crimson Dragons. Payment due in 72 hours. Min-Jun's eyes never wavered. "I can make that debt disappear. Or I can make your brother disappear. Your choice." The world tilted sideways. Amara's vision blurred. How did he know about Kofi? Her baby brother, who'd arrived in Seoul 6 months ago with dreams of studying business, who'd been so naive, so trusting when the nice Korean men offered him a card game, just for fun, just to make friends. By the time Kofi realized he'd been trapped by loan sharks, he was drowning in debt with interest compounding daily. The Crimson Dragons weren't known for mercy. They were known for sending body parts back to families as warnings. How do you? Her voice cracked. I know everything about everyone who works in my territory, Min-Jun said simply. This nightclub? Mine. The restaurant where your mother washes dishes? Mine. The basement apartment you share with 4 other women in Itaewon? I own the building. He shifted, wincing. I've been watching you, Amara Williams. 3 years. Of perfect attendance. Never late, never complains, sends 90% of your salary home. You're smart, disciplined, invisible. Terror and fury warred in her chest. You've been stalking me? I've been planning. He pulled himself upright, his face pale but determined. My father died 2 weeks ago, poisoned. Someone in my inner circle betrayed me. I have 30 days to marry, or I lose everything. My position, my inheritance, my life. The 5 families won't accept an unmarried leader. It's tradition. It's law. Amara stared at him. Surely he wasn't suggesting marry me, Min-Jun said flatly. 6 months. You play the role of my devoted wife. You attend the functions. You smile. You convince my enemies and allies that I'm legitimate, stable, reformed. In return, I erase your brother's debt. I pay for his university. And I give you 10 million won every month. The number hit her like a physical blow. 10 million won every month. That was more money than she'd earn in 2 years of scrubbing floors. That was her mother's medical bills paid. That was her sister's school fees. That was a future she'd stopped dreaming about. And if I refuse? She whispered. Min-Jun's expression didn't change. Then Kofi has 72 hours to come up with 50 million won. The Crimson Dragons will start with his fingers, then his hands, then they'll harvest his organs and sell them piece by piece. He paused. Or you could run, try to hide. But Seoul is small when you're being hunted, and I own half this city. This wasn't a proposal. It was a trap. A beautifully constructed cage with her brother as bait. Amara's throat closed. She thought of Kofi's last message, sent 3 days ago. The one she'd ignored because she'd been working a double shift. Sis, I messed up. I'm scared. Please call me. She'd planned to call him tomorrow. Tomorrow that might never come. I need an answer, Min-Jun pressed. My men will be back soon. They'll ask questions. You'll either leave, here is my fiancé, or you'll leave in a body bag because you witnessed too much. That's not a choice, Amara choked out. That's blackmail. That's survival. Min-Jun's eyes were flat, empty. This is the only world I know. I don't pretend to be a good man. I'm offering you a transaction. Your loyalty for your brother's life. Your performance for your family's future. 6 months. That's all I need. She looked at her hands, still covered in his blood. When had her life become this? When had she fallen so far that marrying a murderer felt like her best option? What if I can't do it? Her voice was barely audible. What if I can't convince them? What if they see through me? Then we both die. Min-Jun's bluntness was almost refreshing in its honesty. But you saved my life tonight, when you could have run. You didn't panic. You didn't scream. You acted. That tells me you're stronger than you think. He extended his hand, blood-stained and steady. So what will it be, Amara? Williams? Will you be my wife? The bathroom suddenly felt too small, the air too thick. Amara thought of her mother's voice during their last phone call, tired and worn. Just stay safe, my daughter. That's all I ask. But safety was a luxury she'd lost the moment she stepped into this bathroom. the moment Kofi signed that first loan document. Maybe even the moment her father died and left them all scrambling to survive. She took Min-Jun's hand. His grip was firm, possessive. 6 months, she whispered. Not a day longer. Something flickered in his eyes. Satisfaction. Relief. Or perhaps just cold calculation. 6 months, he agreed. Starting now. The next 72 hours passed in a blur that felt like drowning. Min-Jun's people moved her out of the cramped Itaewon apartment at dawn. Her roommates were told she'd gotten a job as a live-in housekeeper for a wealthy family. They believed it because that's what happened to girls like them. The lucky ones got better positions, disappeared into the homes of the rich, and were never heard from again. Except, Amara wasn't moving into a house. She was moving into a fortress. The penthouse occupied the entire top floor of a glass tower in Gangnam. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Seoul's glittering skyline, but the glass was bulletproof, and armed guards patrolled every entrance. Inside, everything was sharp edges and cold marble. Black, white, chrome. No warmth, no life. Just expensive emptiness. Your room. Min-Jun's assistant, a severe woman named Park Ji-won, opened a door to reveal a bedroom larger than Amara's entire apartment. Master Kang's room is connected through there. She pointed to another door. You'll share the space. The marriage must appear authentic. Cameras are everywhere in this building. Rival families watch. Police watch. Everyone watches. Amara's stomach twisted. We have to share a bedroom? You have to share a life, Ji-won corrected sharply. For the next 6 months, you are not Amara Williams. You are Mrs. Kang. You wake when he wakes. You eat when he eats. You smile when he needs you to smile. You speak when spoken to. And you never, ever break character in public. Her eyes raked over Amara's stained uniform. First, we fix this. The transformation began immediately. Stylists descended like a swarm, stripping away everything familiar. Amara's natural hair was oiled and braided into an elegant updo. Her work-roughened hands were scrubbed, buffed, manicured, until they looked like they'd never touched a mop. They poured her into designer clothes that cost more than she'd earned in 6 months. Dresses that hugged curves she'd forgotten she had. Heels that made her tower. Makeup that made her cheekbones sharp. Her eyes fierce. When they finally let her see a mirror, Amara didn't recognize herself. Better, Ji-won assessed. You look like you belong now. But looking the part isn't enough. You need to learn how to move, how to speak, how to survive. She handed Amara a thick folder. These are the 5 families. Study them. Every name, every face, every alliance and grudge. Your life depends on knowing who's who. Amara flipped through the pages, her head spinning. The Beko Syndicate, White Tigers, Min-Jun's family. The Crimson Dragons. The Golden Serpents. The Black Phoenixes. The Silver Wolves. Each family controlled different territories, different industries. Drugs, gambling, prostitution, construction, politics. They were woven into Seoul's fabric like poison in silk. The initiation gala is in 3 days, Ji-won continued. The 5 families' council will meet. They'll vote on whether to accept Master Kang's claim to leadership. His father's death left a vacuum. Rivals are circling. They'll look for any weakness, any excuse to challenge him. You are his greatest vulnerability right now. Why? Amara looked up. I'm nobody. Exactly. Ji-won's expression was grim. Master Kang was supposed to marry Lee So-yeon, daughter of the Golden Serpent's leader, a strategic alliance arranged since childhood. Instead, he shows up with a foreign maid 3 weeks after his father's death. They'll call it an insult. They'll call you a whore. They'll say he's unfit to lead because he thinks with his cock instead of his brain. The crude words made Amara flinch. What am I supposed to do? Prove them wrong. Ji-won leaned in close. Show them you're not some naive girl he's using. Show them you're his choice, his partner. Show them strength, intelligence, dignity. Make them believe the impossible, that Kang Min-Jun, the most ruthless man in Seoul's underworld, fell in love with you. Love. The word felt obscene in this context. There was no love here, only transactions, only survival. That night, Min-Jun came to the bedroom. His wound was bandaged properly now, his movements still careful. He wore simple black clothing, his hair damp from a shower. Without the blood and chaos, Amara could see him clearly. He was young, maybe early 30s, handsome in a cold, carved way, but his eyes were ancient, exhausted. "Can't sleep?" he asked, noticing her sitting by the window. "I don't belong here," Amara whispered. "I don't know how to be what you need." Min-Jun was quiet for a long moment. Then he sat across from her, maintaining distance. "My parents had an arranged marriage too. My father loved my mother once, I think. But this life, it eats everything soft. It turns people into weapons." His voice was empty. "She killed herself when I was 12, walked into the ocean and never came back." Amara's breath caught. She hadn't expected honesty, hadn't expected vulnerability from this man who seemed carved from stone. "I'm sorry." "Don't be." Min-Jun's jaw tightened. She was weak. Weakness gets you killed in this world. My father taught me that every day afterward. Every scar on my body is a lesson in survival. He looked at her directly. "You're not weak, Amara. You wouldn't have made it 3 years in a foreign country, alone, if you were. You wouldn't have saved my life if you were. So stop doubting yourself. I saved your life and now I'm trapped in yours," she said bitterly. "You were already trapped." His words were harsh but true. "Kofi's debt was a noose around your neck. I just offered you a different rope." He stood, moving toward the connecting door. "The gala is in 3 days. Ji-won will prepare you. All you have to do is stand beside me and not flinch when they bare their teeth." Can you do that? Amara thought of her mother. Her brother. The life she'd left behind in Accra with dreams of building something better. She'd already sacrificed so much. What was 6 months of pretending compared to a lifetime of regret? "Yes," she said. "I can do that." "Good." Min-Jun paused at the doorway. "One more thing. From now on, you call me Min-Jun. In private. In public, you call me whatever a wife calls her husband. Practice being comfortable with it." Hesitation reads as deception. He disappeared into his room, leaving Amara alone with the city lights and the weight of her decision. The next 3 days were brutal. Ji-won drilled her relentlessly on names, faces, hierarchies. Amara learned that the Crimson Dragon's leader, Kwon Jae-sung, had a gambling addiction and 3 mistresses, that the Golden Serpent's Lee family controlled half the construction contracts in Seoul, that the Black Phoenixes specialized in blackmail and information trading, that the Silver Wolves were the most traditional, the most dangerous, the most likely to reject Min-Jun's leadership. "Why do they care who he marries?" Amara asked during one session. "Because marriage means heirs," Ji-won explained. "It means commitment to the future. It means stability. A leader who marries impulsively is a leader who makes reckless decisions. And reckless leaders get their people killed." She fixed Amara with a hard stare. "You represent his judgment, his priorities. If they don't respect you, they won't respect him." Amara also learned to walk in heels without wobbling, to hold chopsticks with grace, to bow at precisely the right angle for each social situation. She learned that silence was sometimes more powerful than speech, that a well-timed smile could disarm suspicion, that her foreignness could be an advantage if she wielded it correctly. "They'll expect you to be demure, subservient," Ji-won said. "Use that. Let them underestimate you, but never, ever appear weak. Weak things get crushed here." On the second night, Kofi called. Min-Jun allowed it, but stood nearby, watching. "Sis?" Kofi's voice was shaking. "Oh God, Amara, I thought they said the debt was cleared, just like that, gone. They said someone paid it off. Was it you? How did you—" "I found help," Amara interrupted, her throat tight. She couldn't tell him the truth, couldn't burden him with the knowledge of what she'd traded. "I found a good job, Kofi. A really good job. Everything's going to be okay now. I'm so sorry." He was crying. "I was so stupid. I almost got us killed. It's over now," she whispered. "Just focus on school. Study hard. Make this worth it. Make my sacrifice worth it." She didn't say. "I will. I promise. I love you, sis. I love you too." The words felt like goodbye. When she hung up, Min-Jun was still watching her. "You didn't tell him? What good would it do?" Amara's hands were shaking. "He's safe. That's what matters. You're more pragmatic than I expected." There was something like approval in his voice. "That will serve you well tomorrow night." The night of the gala arrived too quickly. Amara stood in front of the mirror, barely recognizing herself. The dress was midnight blue, elegant and conservative, but impossibly expensive. Diamonds glittered at her throat and ears, real diamonds, Ji-won had said, worth more than Amara would earn in 10 lifetimes. Her braids were styled in an intricate crown, her makeup flawless. She looked like she belonged in this world, but inside, she was still the girl scrubbing bathroom floors at 3 in the morning. Min-Jun appeared behind her, dressed in a black suit that probably cost more than a car. He looked every inch the powerful heir commanding, dangerous, untouchable. When his eyes met hers in the mirror, something shifted in his expression. "You look perfect," he said quietly. "I look like a doll," Amara corrected. "Beautiful and empty. Then fill it with steel." He stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. "In 1 hour, we walk into a room full of predators. They'll smell fear, they'll test you, they'll say things designed to make you crack. You cannot give them that satisfaction." "What will they say?" Min-Jun's jaw clenched. "They'll call you a prostitute, an opportunist, a foreigner who seduced me for money. They'll imply you're pregnant, that I'm being blackmailed, that you're a spy from a rival organization. They'll make racist remarks and watch to see if I defend you, or if I let them disrespect what's mine." "And what will you do?" Amara turned to face him. "I'll do what I must to secure my position." His honesty was brutal. "I'll defend you when it serves me. I'll stay silent when it doesn't. Politics is about choosing your battles. I can't fight every insult or I'll appear weak, emotional, controlled by you. Do you understand?" She understood perfectly. She was a prop, a tool, nothing more. "Then I'll defend myself," Amara said coldly. Min-Jun's eyebrows rose. "Ji-won told you to stay quiet. Ji-won doesn't have to stand there and take their abuse." Amara met his gaze without flinching. "You want them to respect your judgment? Then I need to be someone worth respecting. A silent, cowering wife makes you look like a man who chooses poorly. But a woman who can hold her own? That makes you look strategic." For a long moment, Min-Jun studied her. Then, impossibly, his lips curved into something almost like a smile. "You're smarter than I gave you credit for." "You're not the only one who knows how to survive," Amara replied. The car ride to the gala was suffocating. Min-Jun sat beside her, his hand resting possessively on her thigh for the driver's benefit, she realized. Everything was performance, every touch calculated. The Mercedes glided through Seoul's streets, past neon signs and crowded sidewalks, into the wealthy Gangnam district, where old money hid behind traditional gates and modern security systems. The venue was a private Hanok estate, traditional Korean architecture concealing cutting-edge surveillance. Armed men in expensive suits flanked every entrance. As they stepped out of the car, cameras flashed. Min-Jun's hand moved to the small of Amara's back, guiding her forward with practiced ease. "Smile," he murmured against her ear. "Like you're exactly where you want to be." Amara smiled. It felt like baring her teeth. Inside, the great hall was stunning. Paper lanterns cast warm light over polished wood floors. Low tables were arranged in a square formation, each representing one of the 5 families. At the head sat an empty cushion, the place of honor reserved for the Baekho Syndicate's leader. Min-Jun's place, if he could claim it. Conversations died as they entered. Every eye turned to assess, to judge, to calculate. Amara felt their stares like knives against her skin. She was the only black person in the room. The only woman who wasn't Korean. The only one who didn't belong. Kang Min-Jun. A gravelly voice cut through the silence. An older man rose from the Silver Wolf's table. His face was scarred, his eyes chips of ice. "You honor us with your presence, and you've brought a guest." "I've brought my wife," Min-Jun corrected smoothly. His hand tightened on Amara's back. "This is Mrs. Kang. She'll be joining us tonight, as is her right." A ripple of murmurs spread through the room. Amara caught fragments. "Wife? When? Who is she?" In Korean. She understood more than they realized. 3 years of survival had taught her the language, even if her accent was still thick. "Your wife!" The Silver Wolf leader's tone dripped with skepticism. "How unexpected! Your father's funeral was only 2 weeks ago, yet you've managed to marry in secret? And to such an exotic choice." The word exotic landed like a slap. Amara felt Min-Jun tense beside her, but he said nothing. This was the test Ji-won had warned about. She was on her own. "There was no secret," Amara said clearly, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Min-Jun and I have known each other for months. We chose to keep our relationship private out of respect for his father's illness. But love doesn't follow a convenient timeline, does it?" "Love?" The lie tasted bitter. But she sold it with a soft smile directed at Min-Jun. He played along perfectly, his expression softening in a way that almost looked real. "Love," the Silver Wolf repeated mockingly. He walked closer, circling them like a predator. "Tell me, Mrs. Kang, what does a woman like you know about our world, about our traditions?" "I know that strength isn't measured by birthright alone," Amara replied. She kept her voice respectful but firm. "I know that loyalty must be earned, not assumed. And I know that underestimating someone because of where they come from is a mistake wise men don't make." A woman laughed, sharp and cutting. Lee So-yeon, the Golden Serpent Princess, rose gracefully. She was breathtaking in a traditional crimson hanbok, her beauty calculated and cold. "How charming." The maid has learned to speak. Her smile was venomous. "Tell me, did Min-Jun find you on your knees scrubbing his floors? Is that how this grand romance began?" The room erupted in laughter. Amara's face burned, but she forced herself to hold steady. Min-Jun's expression remained neutral. He wasn't going to save her. This was her battle. "Yes," Amara said simply. The laughter died in confusion. "I was working as a maid when we met. I'm not ashamed of honest work. My hands have scrubbed floors, washed dishes, cleaned what others wouldn't touch. I survived in a foreign country with nothing but my determination. Can you say the same, Miss Lee?" Seo-yeon's face darkened. "How dare you?" "She dares because she's my wife," Min-Jun interjected, his voice like ice. "And she speaks truth." "So-yeon, you've never worked a day in your life. You've never struggled. You've never had to prove your worth beyond your family name. Amara has earned everything she has. That's why I chose her." The declaration sent shockwaves through the room. Min-Jun was publicly rejecting the Lee alliance, burning a bridge that had taken decades to build. It was reckless, dangerous, strategic. You chose poorly, Kwon Jae-sung of the Crimson Dragon spoke up. He was younger than the others, hungry for power. She's a liability, a foreigner with no connections, no dowry, no value to our organization. What benefit does she bring to the Baeko syndicate? She brings perspective, Min-Jun answered. She brings someone I can trust absolutely, because she has no competing loyalties to any of you. She brings a woman intelligent enough to see this world clearly, without being corrupted by it yet. And she brings me stability, which is exactly what this council requires for my leadership. Stability? The Silver Wolf laughed harshly. Or scandal? Your father barely cold in the ground, and you're parading a foreign girl around like some prize. It shows poor judgment, Min-Jun. Impulsive decision-making. Exactly the kind of weakness we cannot afford in a leader. Min-Jun's eyes went dead calm, the most dangerous kind of calm. My judgment saved this organization from a coup attempt 3 days ago. My judgment identified the traitor in my father's inner circle who poisoned him. My judgment secured the Hong Kong shipping routes your people have been failing to protect for 6 months. Question my marriage if you want, but don't. Question my capability. Tension crackled through the air. Hands moved subtly toward concealed weapons. One wrong word and this room would explode into violence. Proof, So-yeon demanded. Prove this marriage is real. Prove she's not just some arrangement of convenience to fulfill the 30-day requirement. Min-Jun turned to Amara. Their eyes met, and in that moment, she saw the calculation. This was it, the moment that would make or break everything. He cupped her face with both hands and kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was possessive, claiming, designed for an audience. Amara's mind went blank. His lips were warm, insistent, and despite everything, despite the lies, the manipulation, the audience watching their every move, her body responded. She kissed him back, her hands gripping his jacket, selling the performance with everything she had. When they broke apart, Min-Jun's voice was rough. Is that proof enough? The room was silent. Then Kwon Jae-sung began to clap slowly, mockingly. Impressive. You've trained her well, but passion is easy to fake. Let me ask the bride directly. He leaned forward, his smile predatory. Missus, Kang, do you know what your husband does? The blood on his hands? The people he's killed? Or did he sell you a fairy tale about legitimate business? Amara's mouth went dry. Every instinct screamed to lie, to play ignorant. But these people would smell deception. They'd spent their lives reading lies. I know exactly who he is, she said quietly. I know what this world is. I'm not naive enough to pretend otherwise. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. My husband is not a good man by conventional standards, but he's honest about what he is. He doesn't hide behind respectability while doing evil things. There's integrity in that truth, even if the truth itself is dark. Min-Jun's hand found hers, squeezing once. A signal. She was saying the right things. And you can live with that? So-yeon's voice dripped with disdain. With being married to a monster? We're all monsters in our own ways, Amara replied. Some of us just have better PR. She met So-yeon's glare without flinching. You judge me for being a maid, for being foreign, for not being born into this world. But at least I know what it's like to suffer, to fight for survival. Your privilege blinds you, Miss Lee. You think cruelty is strength because you've never experienced it from the other side. You little, Seo-yeon lunged forward, but her father's hand shot out, stopping her. Lee Dong-hyun, leader of the Golden Serpents, studied Amara with newfound interest. She has fire. I'll give you that, Min-Jun. Most women would have crumbled under this questioning. She stands her ground. He turned to the room. Perhaps the boy's judgment isn't as flawed as we assumed. Fire isn't enough, the Silver Wolf countered. I still say this marriage is suspicious, too convenient, too sudden. Then test it, Kwon Jae-sung suggested, his eyes gleaming. The intimacy clause. If this marriage is legitimate, they should have no problem proving consummation. Medical verification. Documentation. We've used it before to confirm alliances. Amara's blood turned to ice. They wanted proof that she and Min-Jun had slept together. Physical evidence. The room tilted sideways. That's barbaric, she whispered. That's tradition, Kwon shot back. Any woman can kiss a man. Any actress can play a role, but a true wife? That's different. He smiled cruelly. Unless, of course, you're not a true wife at all. Min-Jun's expression remained neutral, but Amara felt the tension radiating from him. This wasn't part of the plan. This was a trap they hadn't anticipated. We'll provide whatever verification you require, Min-Jun said coldly. But this disrespect toward my wife ends now. She's proven herself tonight. She's answered your questions with more grace than any of you deserve. If you continue to insult her, you insult me. And insulting me has consequences. The threat hung in the air. But Kwon wasn't finished. There's one more thing. He snapped his fingers, and two of his men dragged someone into the room. Amara's heart stopped. Kofi, her little brother, beaten and terrified, his face swollen with bruises, his hands bound. No, she breathed. Yes, Kwon purred. You see, Mrs. Kang, I did some investigating. This boy owed my organization money, a significant amount. Then suddenly, mysteriously, his debt was cleared. By whom, I wonder? He circled Kofi like a shark. By Min-Jun, perhaps? As payment for your services? A transactional arrangement disguised as marriage? Amara couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Kofi's terrified eyes found hers, and she saw the confusion, the betrayal, the realization dawning that she'd lied to him. Let him go, Min-Jun's voice was deadly calm. He has nothing to do with this. On the contrary, he has everything to do with this. Kwon pulled out a knife, pressing it against Kofi's throat. Here's what I think happened. You needed a wife fast. This girl needed money to save her worthless brother. So you made a deal. A contract marriage. A fraud. And we're about to make you both pay for lying to this council. Stop! Amara's voice cracked. Please. He's innocent. He doesn't know anything. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Just don't hurt him. Amara. Don't, Min-Jun started, but she was already speaking. Yes, it started as a transaction. The words poured out desperately. Min-Jun needed a wife. I needed money for my brother's debt. But it's not fraud. I am legally married to him. I stand beside him willingly. Whatever our reasons for starting, we're committed to this arrangement. We're not deceiving anyone about our loyalty. Kwon laughed. Finally, the truth. She admits it. This marriage is a business contract, nothing more. Min-Jun is unfit to lead because he built his legitimacy on lies. But Lee Dong-hyun surprised everyone. So what? The room turned to him in shock. My marriage was arranged for business too. Most of ours were. Since when do we care about love? He gestured dismissively. The girl is smart, brave, and loyal enough to risk everything for her brother. Those are valuable traits. Min-Jun chose a partner who understands sacrifice and strategy. I see no problem here. You can't be serious, the Silver Wolf protested. I am serious, Lee interrupted. I vote to accept Min-Jun's claim to leadership. His marriage is legitimate enough for me. He fixed Kwon with a hard stare. Release the boy. Now. Before you start a war, you cannot win. Kwon's face twisted with rage, but he was outnumbered. He shoved Kofi away violently. Amara ran to her brother, catching him as he stumbled. His eyes were wide with shock and pain. "Sis! What is this?" he whispered. "What did you do?" "I saved you," she said simply. "I saved us both." Min-Jun approached, his presence commanding. "Get the boy medical attention and a security detail. No one touches him again." His men moved immediately to comply. Then he turned to the council. "This meeting is adjourned. I'll expect your formal votes by tomorrow. Those who stand with me will be rewarded. Those who stand against me." He left the threat unfinished. As they left the hall, Amara's legs nearly gave out. Min-Jun's arm wrapped around her waist, holding her upright. To any observer, it looked like tenderness, but she felt the steel in his grip. "You did well," he murmured. "Better than I expected." "They know the truth now," Amara said numbly. "They know it's fake. They know it's strategic," Min-Jun corrected. "There's a difference. Lee was right, most marriages in our world are transactions. You just admitted ours is too. That honesty might have saved us both." Back in the penthouse, Amara finally broke. She collapsed on the cold marble floor, shaking uncontrollably. The adrenaline drained away, leaving only exhaustion and horror. Kofi was safe but traumatized. She'd exposed their arrangement. Everything was falling apart. Min-Jun knelt beside her, and for once, there was something other than calculation in his eyes, something almost human. "You stood up for yourself tonight," he said quietly. "You didn't let them break you. That takes courage I've rarely seen." "I'm terrified," Amara admitted. "Good. Fear keeps you sharp." He helped her to her feet. "But you need to understand something. What happened tonight? That was just the beginning. Kwon won't stop. He'll keep testing us. Keep trying to prove this marriage is fraud. And the intimacy clause." He paused. "They'll demand proof eventually." Amara's stomach churned. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we need to make this marriage look real in every way." Min-Jun's expression was unreadable. "That means sharing more than just a bedroom. That means—" He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. The next morning, Amara woke to chaos. Her phone was flooded with messages. Ji-won burst into the room, her face pale. "Turn on the news! Now!" The screen showed leaked photos from the gala. Headlines screamed, "Mafia heir's secret marriage exposed." "Foreign bride's scandal rocks underground." But worse, much worse, there was footage. Someone had recorded the confrontation, recorded her admission that the marriage started as a transaction. "We're trending," Ji-won said grimly. "Every news outlet, every gossip site. The police are asking questions. Immigration is investigating. And the chairman." She swallowed hard. "Min-Jun's grandfather has called an emergency board meeting. He's flying in from Busan. This afternoon." Min-Jun appeared in the doorway, phone pressed to his ear, his expression darker than Amara had ever seen. "How bad?" she asked. He ended the call. "The chairman wants to meet you. He has the power to dissolve my claim entirely. If he decides you're unacceptable, this is over. Your contract is void. Your brother's protection ends." His eyes bored into hers. "Everything we've done, everything you've sacrificed, it all comes down to the next 4 hours. What does he want from me?" "The same thing they all want," Min-Jun said coldly. "Proof that you're worth the chaos you've caused. Proof that I didn't make a catastrophic mistake. Proof that you deserve to carry the Kang name." He moved closer, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "And Amara? My grandfather doesn't accept failure. If you can't convince him, neither of us leaves that meeting alive." The city stretched outside the windows, indifferent and glittering. Amara thought of her mother's voice, her brother's frightened eyes, the bathroom where this nightmare began just days ago. She'd come to Seoul dreaming of a better life. Instead, she'd fallen into hell, but hell had taught her something. She was stronger than she knew. braver than she believed. And she wasn't done fighting. Then I'll convince him, she said firmly. I didn't survive this long to fail. Now. Min-Jun's lips curved into that almost smile. That's my wife. The words shouldn't have affected her. This was still a transaction. Still a contract. Still a prison. But somewhere in the chaos and terror, something had shifted. They weren't enemies anymore. They were partners in survival. And survival, Amara was learning, was the most dangerous game of all. If you've made it this far, you're now part of Amara's story. Will she survive the chairman's judgment? Will Min-Jun's enemies destroy them both? Will their contract marriage become something more, or will it kill them first? Drop a comment below telling me what you think happens next. Hit that like button if you want part 2. And subscribe because Amara's fight is just beginning, and you won't want to miss what comes next. The real war starts now.